the most intense deployment?
It was.
Yeah.
It absolutely was. It was the pinnacle of my career. Like, it's very hard to come back from that, you know, when you're flying in on a little bird sitting on the skid with fires coming in from a Spectre gunship, and you like, I did boat missions in Baghdad. Me and Mike, like I'm like, boat missions, like we were hitting this
Where the
target.
fuck are the SEALs at?
We got those Swick boats, you know, and me and my buddy were like, this is fucking stupid, right? So they took us on a helicopter to an island, and we got on those boats. And those boats are badass, dude. Yeah. They have miniguns and 240s and freaking everything on them. And then they took off real quietly. And then they just, once they get into water, they fucking hauled ass. And then we cut the engines and crawled up and hit a bank, climbed up, hit a target, back in the boat, back. Yeah. We were like, man, that was pretty badass, man. That was fun. Yeah.
That's a trip.
But having all those assets and having, like, we never went out without Spectre gunship, without Apaches, without tanks. Having all those assets with you is and the intel was phenomenal. And I've said it before, like, the job we did in Iraq, compared to what those kids in the strikers were doing, they did 18-month deployments. They drove around every day, getting blown up and fired at, and very difficult. Like, our job was so much easier. Yeah. And of course, we hit targets with pipe hitters left and right? The whole time. Very well trained guys. We stacked the deck in our favor. Yeah. Their job was just so much more difficult than ours. You know, it really was.
Yeah. No, I mean, the so much of the conventional story of Iraq is just fucking heartbreaking.
Oh, it's horrible.
Because it really is. I mean, it's just like, you know, fire by patrol, you know, or fire by bait, really. I mean, it's like, hey, just go drive around until you get blown up or shot at, and then do something about it.
Look for IEDs with your vehicle, right? Yeah. We were in a chow hall one day, and we're on civies, and in Baghdad, the big army chow hall. And these infantry kids come in, they pull up their striker, and they walk into the chow hall, and they're covered head to toe in dust and shit, right? And this female cook comes down and kicks them out because they're dirty, right? And one of the guys on my team, Dave, went over and he just detonated her, and he was like, you should be ashamed of yourself. You're hiding in here in the chow hall, and they're out fighting every day. Who the fuck do you think you are? He just fucking lost it. I'm like, that's awesome. Good for you.
That is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Are there any other ops on that deployment that you can share kind of in detail, almost like it's a movie scene? Like, walk us through. Yeah,
there was so many gunfights on that. I remember one, like, other than Ladonia that Mike already told you about. That was a massive gunfight. But again, we stacked the deck. We'd land in the desert. I'm not going to talk about any TTPs, obviously, but we would move in. And one night we moved into this village, and I was the snipes. We put the snipes on the roof. We put blocking positions in all the avenues of approach. And as soon as the breach went off, what we think happened was, like, an Al-Qaeda unit came in, like maybe 14, 15, 20 guys came in, and the high-value target we were going after went into the house that was our target house, and the rest of them spread out throughout the village. And once the breach went off, they all came running to the breach point with their guns and their chest racks and their suicide vests. And we had every avenue of approach covered, and we fucking slayed them. Like, we shot so many fucking people. I remember being on the roof with my sniper rifle and looking, I saw flashing lights, and I'd shot 2 people down that road, and I was looking, and it was Iraqi police coming with a pickup truck, picking up bodies and putting them in the truck, right? Our JTAC, and normally JTAC is Joint Terminal Air Controller, the Air Force guy who controls the aircraft. Normally he's not a fighter, right? Yeah. He shot a guy, like, he was in the doorway on the radio, and Al-Qaeda guy ran right past him with an AK and a chest rack, and he just stepped out and smoked him, you know? When we exfilled off that target, I remember coming down from the roof, and we shot a lot of rounds, but we came down from the roof and we walked out the front door, and there was bodies laying everywhere. We were stepping across bodies to get to the HLZ. We brought the birds into the soccer field, which was like 200 meters from the target house, and nobody took a shot at us, man. They'd had enough at that point. Yeah. Holy fuck. We killed a lot of people on that target, but there was a lot of that. We'd hit these safe houses. We hit another one where we had an L-chip perimeter on it. And when we called out the main guy, he came out with a weapon and got shot. And then the guys on this side, and I was on the front, but the guys on this side, I could hear gunfire in the back. And what happened was that there was 5 bad guys in the back of the house, and they all came running out one at a time. And of course, we have nods and lasers, and we're just like bang, bang, bang. Bang, 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 bang. And I went around the back later on. There's like 5 bodies stacked. They didn't even know who was shooting them, you know. But there was a lot of, like, the surge was very, very effective in Iraq. And you had combat arms in every street in Baghdad. You know, intel, we give the enemy nowhere to go. But people forget that there was pipe hitters out every single night, just cutting the head off Al Qaeda every single night. Yeah. And I remember being in briefings at JTAC, and they'd be like, "This is the head guy in Al Qaeda in Iraq," and within a couple of days we'd kill him. And then they'd be like, oh, "Okay, this is the new head guy." And I'm like, "Where are these guys coming from? That's a shit job right there." Yeah.
But you got to think that the psychological impact that has to be devastating.
Oh, it has to be.
You know, I mean, even if you're, you know, all about being a martyr and down for the cause and all that, like, you know, if you see 7 fucking dudes over a few week period that are now the leader, and a few days later they're killed. You see that 6, 7, 8 times in a row. You're like, dude, fuck that.
Yeah, I will tell you, American Special Operations is a devastating force once you take the leash off.
Yeah.
And the leash was taken off in 2007.
Yeah.
We got briefed and said, "Look, we're losing the war. Go kill as many of these fuckers as you can and bring the fight to the enemy." And we did every single night. We hit targets, and sometimes we'd hit multiple targets all night long. One would lead to another, lead to another, lead to another, lead to another, and we'd come back in the morning exhausted, but we'd sleep for a couple of hours and we'd do it all again. And the intel was fantastic every single time, and it really did tip the scale in 2007. It was a great deployment. It was the high point of my whole career in 2 different armies. It was freaking great. But when I came back, I was spinning up to go back in 2008, and I was supposed to work with the Iraqi counter-terrorist force snipers, and I came down on orders to go to SWIC to be an instructor. Right, so I tried to get out of it. I screamed and fought and bartered but nothing worked. So I got sent to sniper school to be a sniper instructor at Range 37, which is a fantastic job in the special operations community. Mm-hmm. It's a great job, and generally the way it works is once you know you're coming on SWIC orders, guys like me will go find a job, because you have all the skills that are necessary and you have a good reputation, so you can kind of pick and choose where you go. So guys will go to free fall school, they'll go to Robin Sage, or they'll go to sniper school or Sephardic. And then all the guys who don't do that end up with the shit jobs in SWIC, like small unit tactics instructor, or being a TAC for students. So
is that usually only a 1-year stint, or
it's 3 years?
3 years.
It's a 3-year stint.
Damn.
Yeah. It's a 3-year stint. And here's the good part, right? In the grand scheme, you have guys every year coming back from the fight, bringing back new TTPs and modernizing the courses, right? Yeah. If they're the right guy. Yeah. If they're not, they'll just shitbag out and do whatever the last guy was doing, right? So it's actually a good template, and it's a good way to keep fresh bodies. Now, they have civilians that work at all those schools too, who are the long-term continuity, who are all retired SF guys, but you have new guys coming back every year with new TTPs. So at the time, I went to sniper school in the Irish Army in like 88, and I went in the American Army in like 2007. Nothing had changed. It was still the same minutes of angle and mills and milling targets and same TTPs. Nothing had really changed. But at that point, things were starting to change. Funding was available, and then ballistic calculators were starting to come on board, and horse reticles, and I'd been to Todd Hodnett's place already at that point, and then I was just in the right place at the right time, and me and a couple other guys, we modernized the sniper school while we were there. So I was an instructor for 2 years, and I was the NCOIC. I ran the sniper school for a year, and I started shooting competitively while I was there, because I had unlimited ammo and unlimited range time, and I like to shoot.
Bored.
Well,
and I was bored.
And I was bored, and I wasn't on a team anymore. So, it was a 3-year tour, and it actually was really good. It was very rewarding. I got to train a lot of guys, got to meet a lot of guys. It did take me out of the fight, but in hindsight, that was a good thing, because I've seen guys who just go back to back to back to back. CAG guys are bad for it. I'm sure SEAL team, Dev Group guys are bad for it too. And some of the SEAL teams, it just tears you apart. And I've met guys who never took a knee, who are fucked up now, man. And I think, people ask me, like, I was not diagnosed with PTSD when I get out. I have TBI like a motherfucker, right? But PTSD, because I think 3 things helped me. Number one, I took a knee right at the height of back-to-back-to-back deployments. I took a knee for 3 years against my will. That helped me, whether I didn't know it at the time. Number 2, I don't drink, right? I grew up with an alcoholic father. I've seen the bad parts of drink. I don't condemn people for drink, but I don't personally drink. And That's another thing that helped me.
Irishman that doesn't drink.
I know, yeah.
Combat veteran Irishman.
Worst Irish guy ever, right? I might
you
start.
You eat instant potatoes too, don't you?
I do. I fucking tear some spuds up, right? So
right out of the box.
That was the other piece. And then the last thing is I had a job to go to in Philcraft, coming right out the gate.
Yeah.
No taking a year off. No, because these guys go at 1,000 miles per hour, and then all of a sudden, boom, stop, and then they're sitting at home watching Netflix, and then they start drinking beer, and it fucks with their head. They're not used to it. They're not bred for it, right? So those three things helped me. Going to Philcraft right out the gate was. Philcraft's like being on an ODA, man. It's a fucking bunch of fucking pipe hitters, man, and fucking having fun and teaching shit. So they're the three things that really helped me. But going to school for 3 years really did, kind of reboot my brain and kind of, because that even though it's fun and you love it, that combat back to back will jack you up, especially when you're killing people.
Yeah, well, I think there's two things. I mean, I just did an interview yesterday. Actually, I was being interviewed, but we were talking a lot about purpose and guys that go down that road and why and whatever. And I know for me, and I think for most of the guys that I know well enough to be able to kind of make this assumption or ascertain it, is when you get out, if there's something that legitimately gives you purpose, that you're shit excited about doing, whatever it is. I mean, I don't care if it's being a fucking painter, but if you're passionate about it, that's number one. And number two is that, I think the human brain, because it whether it's fucking narcotics, whether it's sex, whether it's, whatever that floods your brain with dopamine and serotonin and whatever, is that combat does that for a lot of guys. Yeah. And no different than drugs is that, your tolerance for it builds, and you need more to satiate it, and so to me, like the deadliest fucking combination is a combat veteran that gets out and now loses his identity as being a fucking warfighter, coupled with lack of purpose, doing some shit job that he could give two fucks less about, and then also does nothing that blows his fucking hair back. Yeah. I mean, that is a fucking road guaranteed straight to fucking, it really is a bad spot.
And a lot of guys get out and they think, well, I was an operator and I'm going to train people and they're going to come banging. And nobody gives a fuck. Yeah. Nobody fucking cares, man.
Well, I mean, there's so many of them out there at this point. I mean, 20 years of sustained combat, like, motherfucker, you got some competition.
Yes, you do.
And even if you're good, I mean, it's kind of like a musician, right? Yeah. Like some of it is who you know, some of it is right place, right time, fucking lucky break, whatever. I mean, there's enough really good fucking operators and instructors out there to where, like, trying to get out and go do that, like, it's a fucking uphill battle. There's already so many well-established guys that have been doing it, so.
Yeah, and you got to be good at social media, you got to be good at marketing, you got to be good at all that. And a lot of guys won't do that, right? Because they live that world. I had no social media, nothing, up until a year ago. Yeah. But I had to make that decision that this is where I'm going. And it was a difficult transition for me, but nobody cares, right? Nobody fucking cares. Yeah. So that taking a knee for 3 years really did help me. Yeah. So I went back. I actually got to go back to Ireland. My old special ops unit ran an international counter-terrorist sniper course. Wow. And I got a slot when I was a sniper instructor at Squick, awesome. And I went back for 3 weeks. It was awesome. Yeah. It was pretty cool. Yeah.
Was there any did they give you any shit about?
No. But well,
about leaving Ireland and now fighting for America? There's none of that kind of shit.
They didn't care. They were glad to have me, and there was guys from France and Italy and Germans, and there was a bunch of different guys. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. But then when my 3-year tour was over, I went back to the SIF company as a team sergeant in charge of a sniper team. So I was a sniper team sergeant for 2 years, deployed again, a couple of deployments.
To Iraq or Afghanistan?
No, I went to a couple of places I probably shouldn't mention, but we can talk offline.
I have a feeling I know where we're at.
But when that was over, like, they only give you 2 years. I tried to do a third year, and they're like, "Oh no, you need to get a first sergeant job to be a sergeant major." And at the time, I was like, "I'll be a sergeant major. I don't care, right?" So, I did my 2 years. Tried to do a third one. They would have given it to me, and then the stepping stone to sergeant major in SF is to be a first sergeant. A first sergeant in charge of troops. It's the equivalent of a master sergeant, but it's a guy that's in charge of troops, right? And it's usually they're pretty shitty jobs. They're tough jobs, and it really does groom you to be a leader, like a sergeant major, right? So I was like, I'll be a first sergeant. So I looked at a couple of jobs, and I took one at the NCO Academy, and I was in charge of the Warrior Leader course, which was, it used to be called Primary Leadership Development Course, PLDC, when I went, but it was young junior NCOs. And it appealed to me because if you get these young NCOs early enough and you teach them what an NCO is supposed to be, you can really set them on a good path for their career. So I took that job and I did it for 2 years, and I was in charge of all 18 series, 37s and 38s. So 18s, 18 X-rays, young SF kids coming out of the Q course, off the Q course. They would actually not even the Q course. They'd go to selection. They go to basic training, airborne school, selection, and then they'd come to me for like a 3-week course, right? So, and then I had all the psychological operations and civil affairs piped in there. It was just for SOF. 128 students per class. I had about 14 instructors, mostly SF guys, and we taught them all the Army curriculum that we had to, but then we try to mentor them and teach them what the Q course would be like, and kind of set them up for success going to a team. So very rewarding. It was out of Camp McCall, so it was away from the flagpole in Bragg, and I did a lot of PT, and it was a pretty good job. I enjoyed it.
I don't know if you want to talk about it or not. In terms of your personal life, family life, whatever, where were you during this entire time with that?
So the army, the military, that life takes a strong toll on your family. It does, and I think a lot of us don't even realize until later. It's like combat, right? You see people die, and you put your buddies on a helicopter and you patch them up, and they die in the helicopter. You don't process that. You put it in the back of your mind, and you deal with it later. And it's coming back, whether you like it or not. It's like that with family for me. Like my daughter was born, my youngest daughter was born in 2004. Well, I deployed 2004, 2005, 2006, and 2007, you know what I mean? And she was 4 years old. And then even when I was home, I wasn't home. I'm a little bit of a workaholic still, and when I was at sniper school, I worked all the time, When I went to sniper school, we only did one night shoot. Well, I just came back from deployments where everything we did was at night. So I implemented freaking tons of night training, and I was always there. So I was gone a lot, and it ruined my relationship with my daughter. It took me years to rebuild that relationship, I don't talk about my family that much, but I will say that this life does take a toll on your family, and sometimes you don't even realize it till later on in life. And I've tried to rebuild some of those relationships, but I have 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls. But
so I guess looking at it now, obviously, knowing the ages that they've been through most of this. What would you say about your relationship with all 4 of them? Would you say
it's good? It's good. It's not as close as it could be, but it's. I'm trying. The thing about social media, right? The thing about Instagram and all that, I've never ever told my kids anything about war or combat or anything I did, and now, social media is a mechanism for me to tell some stories, right? That I just have never told them. I always tried to keep them separated from that world because it's a nasty world, but at least my daughter, my 19-year-old daughter, is very interested in what I did in the military now, and she can go into Instagram and she can look at some of the stories I've posted and get a sense of some of the stuff I've done, I will tell you, like I remember that movie Mel Gibson was in, We Were Soldiers Once and Young.
My uncle was in that movie.
Was he?
Yeah.
I remember one time that one line in that where the guy says, how do you reconcile being a soldier and being a father? And his answer was, I like to think that being good at one makes me better at the other. I'm kind of the opposite. I think being really good at one reduces your ability in the other, right? And I put more emphasis on my career than I did on my family, and I do regret it now. I really do. And
would you have done anything different looking back on it? I mean, because here's the thing that I think I know I would struggle with. My kids were born the last couple of years I was in the military as an instructor, and then I got out. So they they didn't really have to deal with all of that. But thinking of it that way, that was a large part of my decision to get out, was that I've seen enough guys sacrifice their families, just out of the pure, simple, fact that you have to prioritize that as a job because you and a bunch of other guys' lives depend on it.
Yes.